Yeah, when we come back, I'll play that clip. Kerry said, not much because it's a secret. And he says, there's a lot of secrets, but I'm not going to talk about it. I mean, imagine two guys related on every side of their family, not just cousins, one way, but it's like a breed of dog. They're both totally related to each other. And you got 10 people every year initiated into it. They were at the school during the same 4 or 5 years together, different year classes. What is the chances of having those two men running against each other for president, Wayne Madsen?
Well, I think it's more than just coincidental.
Yeah, in Skull and Bones, for those that don't know, it is a classic satanic ritual. The devil has you be reborn in a coffin, reborn to the host of hell. It is a worship of piratical enslavement of the general public. We'll be right back with Wayne Madsen.
Are you tired of losing your hard-earned savings in retirement? Does the continued loss of purchasing power through the hidden tax of inflation brought on by trillions of dollars in government bailouts bother you? Then please let me, Dwayne Daly with Midas Resources, help you to protect what you have left. Call me at 800-686-2237 extension 115, and I will explain to you how to retain your wealth and purchasing power now and in the future with gold and silver. Gold and silver have been a form of currency for 6,000 years compared to our present fiat currency, which has only been in existence for 38 years and failing fast. Call me, Dwayne Daly, at 800-686-2237 extension 115 to start your protection of wealth today. I will custom fit the protection package to your personal needs. No amount is too small, so start today. Call Dwayne Daly with Midas Resources at 800-686-2237 extension 115 for your gold and silver protection portfolio.
6'6", weighed 245, kind of broad at the shoulder.
We're going to take your calls in the next segment from Wayne Madsen, WayneMadsenReport.com, specifically for Wayne Madsen, I would ask, but he can talk about any subject. He's as knowledgeable as I am, and perhaps more so on many subjects on a broad range of issues. So we always love having him on with us. WayneMadsenReport.com is a great place to get a lot of key information. 1-800, the toll-free number to join us is 1-800-259-9231, 1-800-259-9231. Going back to Wayne Madsen. Wayne, there's so much to talk about here. Let's get into the economy. AP reported that, banks are hoarding the money and that interest rates have really gone up in reality, though they're at zero supposedly, and that big banks are using the collapse as a way to take over internationally. So this is really right out in the open. Give us your take on that and what the rumblings are on in Washington. If they've already gotten $14.8 trillion in 7 months, greater than the GDP, I mean, is there any amount they won't be given, or is this just, are we going to start calling Fed Chairman Ed Bernanke the first, and then his son will be the prince, and then his son after him, like North Korea or something?
Well, for the first time, Alex, I talked to people who cover the Treasury Department and the Fed, and, these were not always the most interesting folks to talk to because, they, let's face it, the subjects they cover are rather mundane. But what I've been getting for, I guess, now 6 to 8 months is they don't know what's going on. They talk to people who work in Treasury. They talk to people who work at the Fed. And they say, where's this all heading? And they get these, people shaking their head. We don't know, throwing up their arms. And I think this whole idea that we're in this uncharted territory and nobody knows what's going on is, I think, the most worrisome thing. I always thought that, this kind of high-level economics was something only, a few people can understand. Now the fact is, it doesn't seem like anyone understands.
Well, here's the MO I get from Joseph Stiglitz, as you know, Nobel Prize winner, former World Bank chief economist, Dr. Paul Craig Roberts, former Wall Street Journal editor and assistant head of Treasury. They know what they're doing, and whether they engineered it or whether it's out of their control, they've decided to capitalize from the collapse of society, and I believe they engineered it, and the evidence shows that. And so they don't want to tell people where it's going and what's going to happen. It's just false hope because they know it means total collapse so they can consolidate, and that's why the banks are hoarding all their money.
Well, I'll tell you, a few weeks back I was at for the first time I was at this White House Correspondents' Dinner, and Geithner was there. And a friend of mine asked Geithner, he said, listen, if you keep printing up money, aren't you worried about hyperinflation? And Geithner just let loose with this expletive deleted and said it's not blank going to happen. It's not blank going to happen. I mean, you get the impression that the people that are running the show are incompetent. It may be that they're cleverly incompetent because the massive ripoff is taking place. But we know what happens to countries where they just print money without any other consideration. Certainly, that's what happened in Germany.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like a Mexican standoff where everybody's aiming at everybody. China is totally invested with us. They know they're buying total crud, but we're also where they export all their goods. And so it looks like the United States can just print, but that's still going to hyperinflate things here. And then they're hyperinflating money that we're supposed to pay back as taxpayers. Any way you cut it, this is going down a very dark road. How do you see it unfolding, Wayne Madsen?
Well, I'll tell you where I see it unfolding. I think we have to look at what just recently happened in Europe with these European Union elections for the European Parliament. A lot of the well-established parties just really took it in the shorts. The British Labour Party and some constituencies finished behind, of course, the British National Front, which is the far-right, fascist party. They even, in some parts of England, they fell behind the Cornwall Nationalist Party. In Sweden, a group called the Pirate Party won their first seat. They're basically, they want all software free. They want to download movies and music to their heart's content. So what you saw was this rebellious inclination in Europe, anti-establishment. And I really think that the Republicans and Democrats better start looking at the tea leaves, because what happened in Europe may happen here. Now, will that be such a bad thing if people start to put third parties, fourth parties, maybe even fifth parties into office? Maybe not, but it may take something like that to shake them up.
Excellent answer. That's exactly what I am saying. And we have these headlines about right-wing takes over Europe. It's not right-wing. People voted for anything but the establishment parties, but the media is making it a left-right issue. Obama is the establishment's last hurrah. If he can't bring the American people and the people of the world back to the table to be raped by the bankers some more, they know they're going to have a real political revolution. We'll be back with Wayne Madsen to talk about that. All right, we are talking to Wayne Madsen. We're going to go back to him in just a moment and some of your phone calls as well. Lewis in Texas, Patty in New York, Trina in Colorado, and others. Okay, Wayne, I want to throw out a few quick questions to you and then get to calls. I've been throwing questions out. My question is, what do you think's most important right now? I want to get some into Obama, but where do you see coming up on the horizon? What do you see happening in Pakistan, Afghanistan? What do you see happening domestically? What do you see happening with staged terror or any other points you think are important?
Well, I'll tell you, on the Pakistan-Afghanistan situation, it just isn't helping our cause much that we are using these remotely piloted drones to fire these missiles at wedding parties and into people's homes. There are constantly demonstrations in Afghanistan and also in Pakistan every time civilians are killed. So, Obama could give 50 Cairo speeches, and in those particular areas of the Muslim world, it's going to have very little effect, because they say, oh yeah, well, I heard this speech, this outreach, but the missiles are still falling, they're still killing innocent civilians, and I think the problem Obama has is he's got a lot of retreads from the Clinton administration. Richard Holbrooke was the architect. He was the architect of this devastating war in the Balkans. Yeah, and now we've got how many countries that compose the former Yugoslavia? About 8. I mean, and some of them are fighting each other, and there's even indications there could be more fracturing.
But isn't that the plan? Balkanize Pakistan, balkanize Iraq, balkanize Syria, balkanize Saudi Arabia, balkanize Serbia. Any sovereign nation can't be allowed to build up outside this global corporate state.
Well, I think you've got a good point there, because look at what we saw after the collapse of the Soviet Union and the Eastern Bloc was this balkanization. If Pakistan should be balkanized, we're talking about 5 or 6 different countries arising out of the former Pakistan, but only one, the Punjabi region, having the bomb. So it would be not the Pakistani nuclear weapon, it would be the Punjabi nuclear weapon. And that's just a recipe for a disaster when you're dealing with a neighboring country, India, which also has a lot of restive regions. And
there's going to be constant wars between those 5 parts until some warlord unifies it. Perfect for the globalists to have some new region to always pump their weapon systems into.
Absolutely. And, and Holbrooke, of course, is the super envoy of Hillary Clinton now over to Afghanistan and Pakistan. He's also taken charge. Maybe a good thing, he has taken charge of Iran, the Iran situation from Dennis Ross, who is very much in bed with Likud, and they want to bomb, of course. They're back to the Stone Age. So